I'm Paul Carroll, the editor-in-chief of Insurance Thought Leadership. I'm talking with Joe Galusha of Aon. You guys at Aon have been doing some interesting work on the drivers of costs in workers' comp. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, Paul, about 3 years ago, we created an assessment tool called Laser at Aon. And what the purpose of the tool was to drill down into the cost drivers of workers' compensation, help our clients understand what is actually the things they need to be paying attention to or need to be improving in their programs. The result of that was, after 3 years of collecting this data, we've got about $3 billion worth of work comp values, and we've been looking at that information as we've collected it to identify any trends, anything that's the macro trends, if you will, versus the individual client trends. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we obviously have picked up out of that, those examination of those claims is the issue of age and its impact on cost of workers' compensation.
You refer to that as ageonomics.
Exactly. And ageonomics is really going to be the approach that we use at Aon to help our clients, because it's when we talk about the prevalence of this issue, it's a combination of things. One, the health of the American worker is less than it was. I mean, we've got a disability issue in America, as we know, but what's driving that appears to be a number of health-related issues. One of the primary causes being obesity. Right now, 35% of America is obese, and of American adults. But if you look at the 45 and older group, that percentage goes up to about 40%. So when you add that to this issue, and then look at the general issues of aging and loss of static strength, 20% less static strength when you're 50 years old versus 25, you end up with kind of the perfect storm. And add to that the prevalence of age in America. We're getting older. Right now, the average age of the worker is 42 years old. 44%, however, of the workforce is over 45, 44%. And in some industries, and that ranges greatly, in some industries that percentage is 50% of the workforce is over 45, for instance, in the manufacturing sector.
So how does that play out in terms of what companies ought to do about managing their workers' comp policies?
Yeah, it starts with understanding your own cost drivers. So we recommend to a client that they really drill down into their data, and we can help them do that at Aon. That's what Laser does, is we drill down into those claims. We look at what are the individual drivers of cost. What we find with the aging workforce, the things that have been showing up, is we have an increase in severe claims. Not necessarily frequency related,
right,
but the severity of the injuries are worse.
Which I assume is a huge driver.
Absolutely. In fact, the average duration of lost time or days away from work for the 45 and older worker is more than 2 weeks longer than the under 45 age group.
And this will require some changes as well in terms of internal structure, right? I mean, instead of just having the risk manager focus on workers' comp, there's going to have to be some other involvement.
Yeah, exactly right, Paul. That actually is one of the compelling experiences here. The things that we're picking up on is this might be, in my career of 30 years as a safety professional, this might be the first time in my career that it's really been compelling that we work together with the human resources group, the health and benefits group, and risk management to address this issue, because the solution doesn't lie in one or two things. It really lies in a combination of improving the health of the worker through what we're calling prescriptive wellness programs, and Aon's very well suited to do this with our acquisition of Hewitt a couple of years ago. We have a great health and benefits group that is focused on that. So trying to make the workforce healthier, and then on the other side of the spectrum, what do you do to the workplace to create an environment that the aging worker is less likely to be injured in? One example is, and I think this is an interesting one, we all know as we age, our eyesight changes. But I didn't realize
my arms just got too short.
Exactly,
that's the problem.
Or when you're in the restaurant and you're leaning toward the candle to read the menu.
Yep.
Well, what's going on is the pupils are actually decreasing in size. They're about 30% smaller between 50 and 25 years old. So the result is we need better lighting. But in the workplace, have we considered that we might be having slip, trips, and falls because they can't see what's on the floor.
Oh, that's interesting.
The worker
Right.
needs better lighting. I'm in that group, so I can say that. But for instance, so you got the safety side, you have the health and wellness, and then how do you handle that claim better? Because it does require a different view. So claim management also plays a role in this.
Okay. I assume that you have really just begun. I mean, in terms of the research you're doing, do you have a sense of where you might go from here over the next 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think it's going to be growing as the issues grow and the recognition of this problem gets out there. By the way, we appreciate you doing this because I think that's part of this for our clients is to just recognize that this issue needs to be addressed before they see it in their numbers.
Right.
And I think what we've decided to do at Aon is we've created an ageonomics specialization with an Aon. We have a thought leader that's responsible for that, a board-certified ergonomist that's looking at all these aspects. We're partnering with Aon Hewitt to bring in those wellness experts to help us with that piece. And I think what we'll see at Aon over the next few years is an increased focus in this area.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.